Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. AKSHAY Patra. Let's understand this concept as we proceed. It's a different picture you are seeing, and what it means to me. Let's discuss that as we move on. For me, the AKSHAY Patra is a boon of my life. And when I say boon of life, it has a different aspects. The divine boon of everything. I do not mean food alone. I meant everything, A to Z, Akhandata of everything is a boon which I get from AKSHAY Patra or Akhandata from divinity by and large. The boon of integrated education, the self-earned wealth for nutrition, the boon for Ganesh, Saraswati and Lakshmi, almost everything A to Z of 64 arts and sciences should be known to me. My life should be based on dharma. My arthik nitis, earth meaning should be based on dharma. My karma yoga should be based on dharma. I should experience moksha, freedom from all the constraints and restraints of life. And I also realize the self within. Then the impeccable wisdom of the divine nature is the last in the process. This is just few of the 64 aspects of different science and arts, and ultimately knowing what divinity had designed the complete universe with. A impeccable wisdom of every aspect which is the core, perfect, is what I am asking for. I could have called it Akhandata, but this is reason what I am going to share slowly, and then what I gained in the process. Let's talk about it. This is the picture of AKSHAY Patra. Lord Krishna is giving AKSHAY Patra to Draupadi when they were in exile. You can see the picture very clearly. There is Lord Krishna, there is Draupadi. She has got the vessel in the hand, and you have the Pandava there. In this picture, Lord Krishna gave AKSHAY Patra to Draupadi. Why? For healthy nutrition for Pandavas in exiles. They were in exile, they needed food and other things, and whatever is cooked in that particular vessel would remain as it is till the last thing is eaten by Draupadi and vessel is cleaned. That vessel had the capacity to provide food continuously thereafter, so they were never hungry as such. That objective was given to Draupadi for Pandava's health by Lord Krishna to save them from hunger or any of the problems related. So this is something which I know as a child. AKSHAY Patra is given to me, and I am born with that, and all these 70 odd years of my life, with due respect and say, whatever may be the condition, wherever part of the world I may be, I had my breakfast, lunch and dinner the way I wanted it. I had never been deprived of the food. That way AKSHAY Patra has given me the food throughout my life and gave me what is required, whatever may be the condition. Now this was to Pandava's health, and I think I agree with that. And I also agree I have got this something as such from my, but I am looking for AKSHAY Patra from divine nature to give me everything. Like Savitri asked for the soul of her husband Satyavan to be returned. Everyone on the earth is asking for one boon or the other. Most of the people are interested in money, name, fame and other things by and large. And in the process, we are given one boon which is absolutely ours, come what may be. One divine occult padarth or reward is siddhi as such, which I know every person is given. But the question is, who uses the siddhi which way? Most of the people I find use the siddhi for making money, having house, has prosperity at home, or having wealth, wisdom, happiness and other things. But then when I was asked the question of what do I want as the reward from divinity as such, after coming to the stage of making all the symbols work and bringing it to Vigyan Chakra by and large, understanding the animate form, semi-animate form, and learning to make inanimate form, and having succeeded in all that. When the work in conjunction with Voice of Silence was brilliant, when things were turning out very well, when I started following Atma one by one, at that stage when I was asked for the boon, Vardhan for myself, like with a like Savitri was asked by Dharmraj, and she said, "Give me children." And she said, "Tathastu." And to get the children, she said, "You have to save my husband. Without him, I cannot have children." That was very intelligent way of asking reward from divinity, or vardhan or boon from divinity, one thing. And many examples of different nature people have prayed for. Bhakti yoga is based on that. Self-surrender is based on that. We are all given. But as long as we ask for a boon and use that effectively, once is done. Second time you cannot use that boon. Third time definitely not. If you start using that, your power of boon goes to zero in the process. This is something I realized as a child itself. So I never asked for any boon. I just flowed with the thing as I was moving with. That is the reason for first almost 50 years of my life, I never asked for a boon, never asked for vardhan. When I was asked, you asked for a vardhan, then I asked for akhandata, which I am trying to translate as Akshay Patra for all the 64 arts. I think now you understand what I mean. Ki boon, vardhan of 64 arts, sciences, akhandata is the Akshay Patra which I am talking about. Now I am going to show how with this I have used my life very truthfully, honestly, without any corruption, other things, and moved on to have the vardhan for rest of my life. There are certain rules. Misuse it, not allowed. You have to prove yourself that you have asked for something of divinity, then you should become like a divine living being. You have not even one chance to make any mistake. That is also the rule of vardhan or boon as such. Now let me tell you once again. So dharma or the truth is my first boon, which I was very clear. Come what may, nobody can make me do something which is untruth, which I have not experienced. That is the first foundation, and dharma is based only on that. And Dharmaraj, Yamraj, the son of Surya, is going to virtue me only for dharma, my truth, as the first thing. Second thing, which I know very well, is the Bhakti Yoga. Divinity as such is very powerful. She is the one, he is the one, or the nature by and large has created everything perfectly, and I am looking for the perfect world, not a dynamic man-made concept of relative world. I am talking about absolute wisdom, of impeccable wisdom, which is perfect in the core itself, not the peripheral dynamic thing. Then in Karma Yoga, I should have pure actions. Niyat अच्छी है, नीतियाँ अच्छी हैं, नतीजे अच्छे हों. That is concept which is very clear. Have your intention to be very clear, to be perfect, truthful, honest, non-violent otherwise, and do your karma for the good of the entire world. You become like Lokpal for world, that you are no more restricted to yourself, your wife, children, family, relatives. You do things for the entire universe because you are a Lokpalan, as a custodian guardian of the universe. That is the karma which I am talking about. Then come to the question Gyan Yoga, the knowledge of every aspect of life, the philosophy should be the another concept. From actions you should come to that. Then go to Vigyan Yoga, the science knowledge which is perfect to the truthful, honest otherwise. Then go to Pragyan Yoga, the impeccable wisdom of all the 64 arts. So you're literally moving one by one. Then, and I have written Akhandata and integration of consciousness, me and universal consciousness, and as a result, I know anything and everything about the entire universe at my hands and fingers. So that is the Vardhan. To prove that Vardhan, I have to live a perfect life by and large. Having been given Akhandata as such, at the same time the voice of silence made it clear. No living man in the history of mankind have ever asked for Akhandata. You want a knowledge of everything and then you get it. And no wonder only after the Vardhan I've been able to produce 8 Hz frequency throughout the brain with eyes open and be in tune with Akash Kosh and get all the wisdom in stages. And I continue to do every day new things with the light which nobody can find fault. I think that is Akshay Patra which I am talking about. That is Akhandata I am talking about. I am going to show a certain aspects of my life to prove that you are perfect only when your intentions are perfect. Now from that point of view, now you can understand. Only Surya can give you that particular Vardhan. Dharmaraj gave the soul, again is Surya's son. But here Surya himself is giving the vessel of Akhandata to the picture, whosoever saint is, believe that it's me. I got the Vardhan from Surya Bhagwan. Now you have your Antaratma. You with Antaratma will be able to get all the knowledge of the entire universe as such. I think that is what it means. Now you can understand, if the Vardhan is given by Aditya, the sun, the presiding deity, no wonder Maharishi Yajnavalkya was a follower of only Surya, Savitri, Om, Ganesh, etc. So I, like him, is trying to do that, and I think that is amazing for me. This is not that Patra, this is a Patra which actually means to me. Now Dharma is a Lord Dharma, truth and conscientiousness. So then I also say, Veds say Aditi is the mother and daughter of Daksha. Upanishads say Aditi is the mother and daughter of Aditya. But here I say Dharmraj is son of Surya, is like the mother and daughter of Surya, and it's also helium 4, Aditi, soul, consciousness. So once you are in tune with soul, my soul, Aditi, my soul, Dharma, my soul, Dharmraj, my soul, Vivasan, my soul, Surya. So all are becoming in one part, that you are in tune with the consciousness. That means I am in tune with Surya, which is hydrogen. I am in tune with Dharma, which is helium. I am in tune with Aditi, which is helium 4. And all become, between these hydrogen and helium and me, 100 trillion cells become one. Then experience within the body, I know where the difficulty is and how to move on, to move thereafter in a better way. Now, having got this Vardhan is given to everybody who is educated, enlightened and empowered with Antaratma as such. Only the man or a woman who is in tune with the indwelling soul, whether you call it Aditi, you call it Dhamraj, you call it anything. These two combinations only make a person enlightened soul, and that is what Advaita philosophy is all about. That's the first stage of spiritual. Jivatma, Shiv Bhushan Sharma, and every soul, and Antaratma, these two combinations, which is Advaita, I think should be the first step of realizing to become perfect yourself. I think now it's becoming very clear. But only when these two become together, they are in a position to understand other gods and higher gods form. Shiv Bhushan Sharma, Aditi put together can know Gayatri, can know Adi Prashakti, can know A to Z of the entire universe. I think now things are becoming clear by a large. Shiv Bhushan Sharma with helium 4 to know neon, argon, krypton, xenon and other things, know perfectly the whole universe, and they'll teach all the knowledge which is required for every human being to be together as a perfectly healthy, wealthy, wise and happy. And that is the concept which I have taken. I am incapable of exploring the wisdom of impeccable within myself. Then in the process I can do wonders for the entire universe. So I am no more concerned about me, my wife, my children, my family, relatives, my circle, other thing. Now I think of the good of everyone. I think that is the movement of Akhandata, Akshay Patra, which I am talking about. Again, it is a picture again, the proton-proton nuclear reaction which the scientists have shown 4 hydrogen atoms mixed together, fused together to form helium. Then how helium-4 is leading to hydrogen again. This combination of hydrogen to helium, helium to hydrogen is the reaction in the sun at 6000 degree temperature is what this picture is. And I think this is what that soul which comes from here, which has survived up to 6000 formed with that, will never be dissolved, and that is Antaratma by and large. And all the souls, higher souls, are all like helium only, whether it's argon 40 or neon 21, all in the same process. Now, I am making concept from my own experience. I was enlightened for Janmas after Janmas beforehand. When a person who is enlightened is born Siddha, and I would say from my experience, I am convinced that is the truth, that human seed Aditi is inert matter helium. It enters the growing fetus at 22 weeks of pregnancy through the top of the head and gets inside. In the process, it can modify genetic structure in such a way you have a perfect anatomy, physiology, biochemistry and psychology within you, and you can tread the path. And I can tell you every human being can have it. It is not something which is impossible, because soul comes to every human being. Only human beings can have entry of Aditi within us at 22 weeks plus. It could happen at 22, it could be later, at any stage in life. And that is again something which I am talking about. Having done that, this Savitri Satyavan story, which Mahabharata also talks about it, same thing Yajnavalkya also talks about it, and also Sri Aurobindo also has written a big poetry on Savitri. I think this is the same picture. Now Savitri is a picture, is same thing, you can see the consciousness. I think the book was published in 1950 after his death only. Now this particular picture I have shown. If someone is born like me with Aditi before birth itself, then you become like a Abhimanyu who can do very well, who has all the knowledge you want, and that knowledge will lead you step by step. Suppose you haven't been born with that, you haven't let 7 years development with Atma guiding you, then there could be differences of opinion. You could become other person, not a spiritual scientist. Then you go through the process of maybe law, politics and other things, where you are involved more into worldly things by and large, but in a divided world, not as perfect that whatever issue is ultimate truth. From that concept I am talking about. Sri Aurobindo also talked of the descent of Mahashakti at later, which can transform. My age 22 weeks in the mother's womb. So as a result, I have been truthful from the very beginning. Sri Aurobindo talked of Mahashakti coming down afterwards, and that had changed his mind to from congressman, a politician, to a lawyer, to a worldly man for Akhand Bharat, etc., etc., to the someone becomes a spiritual scientist who wrote about Savitri itself at a later date, because Savitri has entered into him, and I think that speaks volumes. Now he says in the Arvind himself, the Jiva is then the meeting place of the play of oneness of Supreme Soul and nature. Purusha and Prakriti become one. Only the human being who is perfect in every way, who has experienced descent of Shakti, Supreme Soul has come into that. He and divine nature, he will be able to understand all the things very clearly, and this is statement Shri Aurobindo. I hail him for this precise, concise thing. And I would say in this particular process, Jivatma is the first step, Antaratma is one, and Universal Atma is third. The implication of Tret Paravidya is very much there. There is Advait, there is Dvait, there is Tret. Not very distinct, and I am talking about Tret Paravidya can give you the experience of unity within you 24/7 for rest of your life. Now from that I can say Dharmaraj again is the son of Aditya. So if you are in tune with soul, you can be in tune with Dharma by and large, with a divinity as such. And as a process, you can do very well. And in this process, in the last video I said, Lord Dharmaraj and Savitri are healing for. So is my Antaratma, so is Aditi, so is my consciousness in tune with, which is taking me to the truth, truth and truth. Now, having been born with the truth, our truth entered into me at 22 weeks of pregnancy of my mother's womb itself, has given me the power of truth, truth and truth, and nobody can shake me. And that is what I'm going to talk to show you one by one how I have moved on to this particular level. This is something which I'm not going to graphically show it, but I'm going to talk about it for person who wants to listen to me, carefully listen to it, how my life has changed as such. That's it. Now I'm going to talk of the reward of Akshay Patra of Akhandata. Let me take few incidents step by step which center around truth, non-violence, perfection and Lokpalan's work for universal peace with impeccable wisdom by and large of 64 hours. How did it happen in this life of mine? As I told you, I have taken birth in Katra because it is Trikuta mountain, 3 Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh and 3 Pindis of Mata Vaishno Devi, Saraswati, Mahalakshmi, Mahakali. These are things taught me that soul of Trikuta or Trikuti or Mata Vaishno Devi or Aditya is Divyang by and large. I think the seeds were laid before even I was born, because the choice of the place of Katra, Trikuta, was only from the angle we are here to see the Akhandata or Divyank in the process to move on. The seeds were laid, with that seed I was born. Now come to the question of taking to this particular stage, and I'm going to show you what happened. No wonder first 7 years of my life I see the world without any teaching from anyone. Me, Antaratma, we are seeing the world and seeing the wisdom in the light of 64 arts one by one. So I was like an artist, I'm like a mathematician, I'm like the perfection in everything. And that goes on for 7 years by and large. Meantime also had an experience of descent of Mahashakti, of the higher nature, which also could be, Sri Arvind was also talking about. But first Aditi was within me, but Gayatri and Dadi Prashakti entered into me in Katra when I was around 7 years old. That gave me the knowledge of inner self and the outer world, even much more higher than what most of the people talk about human body, solar system, etc. But going beyond the solar system to spiral galaxy by and large, to go to universe, is something which has not been done as specifically by anybody other than me as such. The descent of Shakti of Gayatri and Adi Prashakti or the Durga with the 18 names, I think was the one which made a difference to me by and large. That change brought in. With that, the academic performance by and large was on truth, truth and truth. No wonder whatever I would say in academically would come true. I broke all the academic records in Katra and also academic records in Jammu. But there is one incident in 9th standard. By virtue of my accents, I was me the monitor. What incidents with the most powerful teacher and me was only on truth. And that truth, I stood by truth, I won. But of course, I was ill-treated by the teacher and other thing. But the result was I grew better thereafter, because I did not bend. I said that whatever issue is, I am truthful and leave it at that. That's the time I realized the most of the people do not have the power to accept their own mistakes and do it. Punishing different students for whatever reason was the issue which I did not believe in, and I do not believe, and that does not make a change at all. You can transform a student from 0 to 100% only with understanding, making them understand, make them listen to you carefully, explain concept to them in a decent way, civilized way, and then only you can bring the change. And I've seen that any student who's with me from school to college to the university till today, if they are listening to me and following my instructions, they all do excellent work in academics. I've seen that happening from school, college, university till today. It's people who are listening to me very carefully, following them, have the intention of becoming perfect. They also become perfect with their association with me. I think that's something which I've seen. That was the first thing in Jammu. After that, I learned I have no other goal other than have academic excellence, because the reservation policy of India, no Brahman by and large can ever get into medical college, and one of the 2 seats in Madras Medical College was ruled out because all were given to the politicians by and large with money and name. Maybe as the first person who got it as 11th student by demanding much ahead of somebody else who joined me at a later, more than month and a half later. But that was the case. They would not publish in the beginning. Then they say by default, then government would have the opportunity to nominate anybody in the name. Selection was not there. By default, nobody has come. Now we will put our own person, whomsoever thing, and make it nominated. Whereas I got it directly from conviction in the beginning, one of the two, I think that was me, and basically because I knew very well, unless until I break all the academic records in 9th, 10th and 11th and be fit enough for something which is unique, which no controlling thing, selection committee can make me lesser than somebody else. My marks were so different from others, they had absolutely no choice other than give it to me. And I also insisted, you have to give it to me, you cannot deny me the right, because nobody can ever even dream of getting these marks. Otherwise, you could be in a court for a law of being unfair to a deserving student, and that was the first truth given to the selection committee. No, you cannot play with me. And that was the first, second, third turning point. From that, I got into Madras Medical College, and as I told you, truth is, my father was not earning, no parent money, no brother, sister, relative ever offered to give me money. They did not even talk about it. As a result, I was given National Merit Scholarship. Then I took a loan from Government of India for 12,000 rupees during that period, and this amount of scholarship, and that amount was more than enough for me to manage my 6 years education in Madras Medical College on my own without expecting even 1 paisa from anybody. I think that's another beautiful move. You have to earn yourself, only then you can. And this is where I say, when you go after Saraswati, Lakshmi will automatically come to you. If you go after Lakshmi without Saraswati, that money has no value at all. And all the world who's making tons and tons of money without education, this is just not worth it. I call myself richest person because I get wisdom. I don't owe money to anybody else. I don't need money. I don't have losses. I have no problems at all. Only assets, no deficiencies, no defects, no losses, only profit, and I don't need money at all. That is again lesson of entire life from childhood till today. I leave it. I think that is the important part of being self-rich on your karma, education, otherwise. I think that's another thing which stands out in my case. Now, at that stage, after the graduation is over, Government of Jammu and Kashmir asked me 12,000 rupees because I had not joined them at all. And unlike other people, I immediately paid them the 12,000 and freed myself. Then I was made to understand, anyone who takes this kind of loan, they never return it. It is written off as a non-paid because nobody takes the trouble of asking or making a point. But Having taken the money, used it for education, it was my duty to return to the government for this because they have helped me. I don't understand why educated people also do not pay. Why there is so much fraud taken to government and never return it to anybody. That is one concept. Even not even one person in the world can say I owe to anybody, or anybody has my bounce check, or anybody can say I've taken money, I have never returned it. I have never done that. I think that is another point. I was living by the principles of divinity. The divinity was helping me to move on here thereafter. Then move on. But at the same time, I also realized that I am the one who is capable. If somebody asked me to help in education otherwise, I would do it. That's the time I was in a position to help otherwise. But there is another incident which I want to explain at this particular juncture. It was 6th September 1975, my mother died. And I was made to understand when I went for cremation thereafter that she was always looking at my sister's face at the time of death. I said, why? He said, your sister had given her 3,000 rupees and she could not return it to her before death. She was worried about it. And she said, anyone who returns her debt to her daughter would get a part of Katra house as such. And since none of my brothers, sisters, or anybody come forward to pay those 3,000 rupees to my sister, I said, don't worry about it. I'll get the money from a friend of mine. I took 4,000 rupees and gave it to her as such. And that issue also became a thing. It was only 3,000 rupees. Why do you give 4,000 rupees? I said, no. If the same money was in a bank or somewhere, would have occurred at least 4,000 rupees with interest. And I would like to give it. It's my pleasure why I'm giving it. Because you have to be honest in every way. You cannot squeeze others. See, this is the test of integrity. When you live up to that, only then you move up. Similarly, after that, 76, my sister was building a house in Jammu, and she is the one whose house I had stayed. And we have put the base and other thing, but we don't have the money to put the roof at all. At the same time, I took 3,000 rupees from a friend of mine, and I said, you take this and build your house completely. And that was given, and then subsequently I returned it to my friend after from my earning from my income by and large. I paid it to government, I paid it my sister's debt, I paid it to her building also. And similarly, all my house was always welcome to be like AKSHAY for everybody. My house has been like an ashram where people could come, live together and done with it. I think that was something which made me, if you are a Lokpalan, you should do it for anybody and everybody. It doesn't matter who's a person, whether it's Hindu or a Muslim or a Christian, Buddhist, Indian, North Indian, the South Indian, North Indian, question does not matter. All the human beings are same. I have the same respect for everybody because I see everybody potentially very good. If they are bad, it's only because they have karma. That doesn't come with me. If they are bad, they will pay their own price. But then things had to happen in a much better way when I was in Jammu. Now, having done with my mother's death and helping my sister to build the house and paying up the Jammu and Kashmir government, to come to the stage, then no opening had to come by the time I started practice. And then one of my friend, Ramesh, accidentally in 79, when my wife had with the son gone to America for a holiday for a 1 month, he came. I said, you come, stay with me. And he wanted to start a pharmaceutical company with his friends. So he asked me for discussions on how a pharmaceutical company could be made. When I explained A to Z to him, then he, along with his friends, pushed me into this to be a part of it as a consultant, as a partner in the company. Very reluctantly, I agreed, but thank God, for one, my wife had gone to America for 1 month. She did not return for 6 months. That was enough time for me to do things myself, have these friends as my guest in my house, and then discussion. Things had to happen because I was being tested for my integrity. Then discussion was done. We will all get together to form a company called Akhand Pharmaceutical, my idea, and everything was kept for a puja on Vijayadashmi in 1979. But on the day of puja, one person who was to provide the financial help did not turn up. We waited and the whole case was dissolved. We said, my family does not agree. If you are going to be the consultant and I'm going to be the one who is going to give money, why should we have different people into the organization when their role is nothing? And reason, and my friends also said, don't worry, you too go ahead with it. Based on that, we started Akhand Pharma as a second company, as a partnership with Rajendra Mehta. And then we worked for 8 months to make the company very, very vibrant. It was a phenomenal part, one man job. And I had agreed to pay only 10,000 rupees from my side, and that man was to pay 30,000 rupees plus get more money as and when required at 12% interest rate was the agreement between two of us. But after 8 months, after establishment of the company doing very well, when asked for the second product to be made of company, that's time Rajendra Mehta said, my family does not want to pay. Instead of paying money more than 30,000, which I have already done, you have paid 10,000 rupees. More money will get from the market at higher rate of interest. That was the dirty things done by him. Why he and his family did that, I do not know. Nor do I want to get into that. But that is something which was not acceptable to me. I said no. And that said, okay, if it's not able to know, whatever expenses we have met, we will deduct from your pocket and give you the remaining money. I will take over the company. I said no. If I sell you the same thing, I give you money as such plus some more interest and you move out, I'll take it over. And he said, within 2 days, if you can give it to me, it will be done. I said, okay, tathastu. But at the moment I knew where to go and get 35,000 rupees to give it to him and take over the company as such was something. But very moment I came out and spoke to a friend of mine, this is what it is. He said, don't worry about it. Take the money from me, give it to him, take it over. Hereafter, whatever money is required, you take it up. And incidentally, it was not one person, but three of my friends, Krishnamurti, Shankar Shah, and also Rakesh Sarin came forward. He said, we will give it to you. And with that, I took over the money. But later, whatever that Rajendra Mehta learned from me, he started his only pharmaceutical company, put 5 lakhs of rupees, and end result is within few years he had to close down and lost all the 5 lakhs of rupees asset. That was first lesson which I learned. If you don't do things on your own, if you're going to try hijack and learn from it ABC, and you will never succeed, because to succeed is a person who knows the thing. And I took over and ran it for 25 years. I have the unique record of manufacturing quality products for 25 years, which no multinational even cannot say. Quality wise, in every way, the perfect thing was Akhand Pharma, Akhand Pharma and Akhand Pharma. And that was 25 years, a phenomenal way to help everybody. That is something taught me. Hijacking does not help. Cheating does not help. Only conscientiousness helps. That was another lesson which I am trying to show at this particular juncture, which goes back to 79, 80 itself. But then things started happening more and more to see how things work. Then in 1983, by the time things started shape, I think time had come for me to buy a property of my own and make the house for myself as well as pharmaceutical company of my own, where I could house the pharmaceutical in the ground floor, have a house on top, have a beautiful pharmaceutical company plus house plus clinic as such. In that process, I got in touch with someone who said this particular property in Gopalapuram, heart of is available. This is the price, things like that. And I liked the price and agreed. And immediately my friend Rakesh Sarin said, good, you take it up, it's a beautiful place. But I said, what do I do? Don't worry about it. I'll give you the required money of 3 lakhs of rupees. Have a pharmaceutical company, another company called Trikuta Pharma, with me, my wife, and you as together as partners in that Trikuta Pharma. That's how Trikuta Pharma was found. And then let that money which he gave, I bought the land and start constructed the building and done with it. But here another two tests for divinity came to the role. Number one, there was a temple built opposite the building which I bought, which I'm now reconstructing to make a building for pharmaceutical company and myself. People ask me, you are building it, why don't you make a mandapa from the temple, which we are not able to do? I said, don't worry about it. I made the mandapa from the temple one side. Then another question came up. When we started laying the foundation for the building, when I looked at the map and I found map is bigger than the land in which the building is made. If I take the entire land which is there on a paper, which is officially belongs to me today, that pathway which is going from Sadashivam Street to Ramaswamy Street in Gopalapuram, that pathway is laid on my land only. Now do I build on that land which is used for people to pass around as a passage from Sadashivam Street to Ramaswamy Street, or do I close the whole thing and make a building on the entire thing, because all is mine. I own that land. It is not something. But very moment this issue came up with the engineer, he said, this is what it is. I said, don't worry about it. Start the building. After leaving the land as such, free from my property to the world, it is theirs, they are using it, it should not be inconvenient to them. Let's make a building within that structure. Let's not come to this particular land which people have used for years to move from one side to other thing. Let us not be inconvenient for anybody. I think that's another divine proof. If you are a perfect human being, nature tests you. What decision you take is important. And today I really mean it is wonderful, because today when I think of work board, when I treat different people, people are just grabbing other people and claiming it without any right at all. Just by use, by fraud, you do not become rich. And I do not believe richness which is based on fraud, otherwise which is not yours, if you have not earned, that property has no meaning at all. That was the lesson in 1983 as such when I started building the building. 84 the building was done, the temple was built, and then I shifted into that place. Has been a beautiful. I think that is the kind of thing which I wanted to share with. And how, if you are conscientious, doing things systematically, you will be blessed by nature by and large. And I think that truth brought me to closer. And then same question came up, started building up the company, but the company did not have the profitability to the extent that I could pay 18% profitability. I give it to Rakesh Sarin. And I have been also very clear, I don't think any partnership deed would ever say that whatever amount is put by the other party, if there is a need to close that, I would pay 18% interest to the person, irrespective of whatever it is. And when he said profitability is not there, you are not giving me profits. So I said, okay, take 18% interest and done with it. So we started getting money from HDFC and then other processes, and started developing it further with the help of other friends of mine. But all the loans were completely, purely taken officially and done with it. Then after that, 88, another incident happened. My in-laws from Bombay came. I had helped them to buy a land in Palavakkam along with my friends and others way back in 1975-76 itself, with my friends also. He said, we want to build a house there. I said, why do you want to build a house when you are in Bombay? When you retire, you want to settle down. You come and build. Why do you want? No, 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 you don't want to build. So the question, the dialogue became very uncomfortable. I said, okay, all right. But I knew very well, if these people living in Bombay, if it has to be built, it's going to be at my personal expense. But anyway, I'm always helping everybody. So helping my in-laws is not something very difficult. I use the entire world. When the house was built in 1989, and most of the money incidentally came from mine, then I developed the whole process with my own money by and large, pouring into that. For next 3 years, things were not there. But they went up to Bombay and mother went up to America, and the house was locked in a pathetic condition. That's the time, at their request, I shifted into that building in 90. And that is the time when my first son went to Rishi Valley, and second son thereafter also went to Rishi Valley. But after 6 months, I came back to Gopalapuram once again as such, because three stages were becoming difficult. House longwhere, factory somewhere, clinic somewhere was very inconvenient. Came back, but I was taking care of the land because we had developed the land. All the maintenance, everything had to be done by me with my own money as such. But in the process of developing three things simultaneously, one unwanted and unexpected building and the farmhouse was additional liability on my, and I was spending money from my pocket, and I cannot ask anybody for that. In the process, I started developing a certain amount of additional investments, you call it, or loans, you call it. And when loans started increasing more and more, in 1997, I took a decision that I would also build a bigger building in Palwakam, have the house, and sell this particular prime property in Gopalapuram for 30 lakhs of rupees, and done with it. With that, I cleared all my loans in 97, made a new building of 6,000 square feet in Palwakam for my pharmaceutical company and my residence by and large, shifting from this. And then that's the time when I took myself out of any loan liability whatsoever. From 97 till today, I do not own even one part. Come what may, I will not do it. But then, that is the time I had the building which I made. Incidentally, I remembered I had a dream in 93, exactly the same kind of building, which is like Hawa Mahal of Jaipur. I am there. Very moment I come out of the building, when I look back, the building is disappeared. That was the dream. As long as you stay in this house, it will be comfortable. Very moment you move out of this house building, the building will disappear, and that's it. I didn't understand. I mentioned that to my sister. This is a dream I've seen in 93. But I had no idea of building in Gopalapuram. But this dream was seen in 93 in Palwakam only, because we're staying there once again. You had to take care of it because you can't leave things like that. Magnanimity of the highest nature which is with me, have people taken me for granted? They never respected that. But when things happen, moved there, building was made 93, sold this. But this is also the time all the relatives or friends of mine, my houses were given free to everybody, irrespective whosoever it is. I never asked for a rent at all. Even my nephews and their friends used my office in Gopalapuram for their official thing to start with. Without me asking even one paisa as a rent, because I don't feel the need for it. Help it and you're done with it. Leave it. That was another test. Ki you are magnanimous like Surya, give and forgive. Not get and forget. No consultation from patients, no rent, nothing at all. I still believe when you are born with Akshay Patra, you are born with Vardhan of this nature, money will come to you, you will have no problem whatsoever. And I think that way God has been very gracious. Akshay Patra has been then moved on to this. I think that was a brilliant thing. But then 2004, when I took a decision that I'm not going to stay in the house of my in-laws, I'm going to shift to my own building because I have spent millions and millions of rupees on that farmhouse from my pocket, and these people are definitely not the one who would really, because my mother-in-law by and large started talking about selling that building and taking the money to America. Mind you, it is built with my money, with my efforts, with the conviction that it's a family house we should maintain for everybody. When suddenly the owner says, no, I'm going to sell it, I'm not bothered. In that process, what do? I said, fine. But that is the turning point. In 2004, I decided enough is enough, I'm going to move on. I shifted to my building and leave it at that. But then I also realized how bad is the situation. This is one aspect as far as money is concerned. Now come to another part. I've been very conscientious in trying to help society by and large. As a doctor I've done, as an individual I've done, but as a part of associations of different nature also. For that matter, I am a member of most of the organizations which are NGOs by and large. I'm their member. I paid my money, funded them, like ISKCON also for that matter, Punjab Association and many organizations. But suddenly on 1st January 1990, I was invited for a party in a friend of house who was my patient for 31st December 1989. And in the meeting, there a lot of people were there. The idea came, we are going to have a association of own, and we will work for the people of Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal, Punjab, Haryana and Delhi when they come to Chennai, to provide them location where they could be stood. Idea was good. I liked it. It was meant for North Indians, to provide a place in that. In the process, we were made an association called Himachali Sabha. I was a founder vice president, and incidentally, I was the only person to sign on the documents, and also the person for the banks also. Literally everything was done by. For next 3 years, with the help of my own money, I developed the land, bought 6 grounds of land in Porur, and built the building thereafter. But things 3 years doing very well as a ad hoc committee. But after 3 years, association meeting together for the first time, and suddenly in the association, idea of election was brought in. And I was surprised because nobody had discussed about it. When idea of election came, the first proposal for president, Madhu Sankhyan, was given and seconded by somebody. When come to the question of vice president, it was not my name. It was somebody else, seconded by somebody else, and everybody looking at me. I said, no way. Come what may, I am not a part of any organization where election comes. I am not a politician. I do not want to be seen by limited people, more than 50% to be my followers. If either all the 100 people agree with me, if they don't agree with, I will not be a part of it. So I decided that I will not be a part of the new committee, whosoever it is. I walked out. They tried their level best. What happened? Within 6 months, the whole thing went off. That was another lesson which I learned from Madhu. First, Rajendra Mishra, if you take something from somebody which you have not earned, that will not come to you. Here, organization made by somebody, because organization also run by the people who are resourceful and honest. जिनकी नीयत अच्छी है, नीतियाँ अच्छी हैं, वही कर सकते हैं. जो पैसे के लिए धंधा बना रहे हैं, the people who make NGOs or organization, political thing, only for making money, that organization can never be very successful. They become a business proposition. That's what, see, that was the reason I am not into politics, because majority need not necessarily be right. I think that's a lesson I decided, and I moved on to that. And after that, only 95, I made my organization where made it very clear, Akhand Foundation will not take even 1 paisa from any organization. Whatever I put from my pocket, my effort, with the help, because I need at least 3 people to make a charitable trust. So I asked my 3 friends to be part of it. But no promise of taking any money from that thing. I think that was another lesson. Your organization should be pure in every way. It should not be mucky money. But I see everywhere it is in the name of politics, in the name of organization, they take money as a donation but use it for their personal gain, not for the organization. I think that was the lesson. I think one by one, now today I've come to stage, I'm not of any organization, I'm not into any political party, I'm not into anything which needs to be done. So I think making my point, I have to be pure, honest in every way. And that is what I've seen over and over and over has made me come to the question, if you got to move on, your intention should be only for helping everybody, not making it a question of money, name, fame at all. Even today, hardly anybody knows me. But I'm happy that I'm doing something wonderful for everybody without anybody realizing, but I'm enjoying it as my concept for myself and done with it. Having learned this, having moved from person who fundamentally is a very proactive, very friendly, dynamic in every way, suddenly becoming a recluse. And I'm literally saying from 2004 till today, in the last 20 years plus, I'm living alone, where even servants and nobody is allowed to come to my house, nor do I visit people. I prefer to do things on my own self and learn to do it because I do know I do not trust anybody else because they are not the one who are thinking of impeccable wisdom. For everybody, the objective is how to make money, how to make name, how to get fame, how to become popular, how to do this. And the world has taught me, if you are going to be with that, your AKSHAY PATRA, your Vardhan of Akhandata will not suffice unless until you are pure in every way. This purity of mind has helped me to come to this step, and I'm not going to details of that. But this mindset of money, name, fame, what I showed, it shows if you are perfect, only perfection can come. I think for that point of view, I think whatever I have explained about my nature of truth, my nature of no corruption, my nature of no violence, my nature of helping everybody, not getting involved in any of the material which are not mine. I do not want to grab. Even today, all the properties which my mother left for me in Udhampur, Katra, or whatever anybody else had given, I have never even claimed once on that. I have left it as it is, as my parents' property. Now, people who are using it, is up to them how they use it. But if they are going to take that and put it to their name, knowing very well it is my property, I only feel it is their bad luck. Okay, they have not been honest. And I am not getting into details. Everybody is paid according to their karma. So in the process, I think my life has been futile. Have your karmas clear, have your knowledge clear, have your wisdom clear. Don't be bonded with perishable items of name, fame, money, otherwise. Only then you can rise to universal consciousness. You can have Akshay Patra of Akhandata, which I have finally got. I think I deserve it. And maybe that is the reason I want everybody. If you want perfection for generation and generation, you want to be a mukta for life, you want to be remembered even after your death, the way I remember Maharishi Yajnavalkya, I remember Sri Aravind, I remember Jadu Krishnamurti, I remember Ramanujam, I remember all the scientists. I think they have done a wonderful job. They are immortals. If you want to be immortal, learn to be trustful, truthful, non-violent, non-aggressive, and perfectly only give, give and give, not get, get and forget. That rule is very clear. I think having said that, I think this video makes it very clear. If you move on for this, you need to be a perfect human being, not interested in money, name, fame at all. Your need will be met if you go after Saraswati. You have the knowledge, you are going to Karma Yogi, money is going to come to you automatically. And in the process, let me also say you, when I came to Sri Mata Vaishno, from Sri Mata Vaishno Devi to Chetnad, I was offered a post of tutor when I was most qualified. But within 7 years, I was given 4 promotions and paid 4 times the value without me even asking for it. I think that is something which I want everybody to realize. If your contribution is phenomenal, research is phenomenal, work is phenomenal, you get automatically paid. And such a person, through Karma Yoga, through Jnana Yoga, through Vigyan Yoga, through Pragyan Yoga, through Akhandata gets everything automatically because he deserves it. Nature gives it to the people who deserve it. People who haven't got it, I would say, they are not as perfect as perfection expected by nature. Nature never makes a mistake. And I think that is a big lesson for me. I follow Bhakti Yoga, I follow divinity, I follow Mata Vaishno Devi, Durga, all the divinities on earth, and I do work conscientiously. I do work for the love of it. I want to learn from them, and that's the I treat everybody with that. I think that is a big ascension of life by and large. I think today this thing should be a lesson for this. Listen carefully to self, listen carefully to the world, listen to the things properly, and learn to have perfect mind consciousness and perfection to the core. Only then you will be remembered for generation to generation to generation. My work of Divyang is a result of that, because my intention was perfection, never compromise that. I never made anything which is not true. Wonderful, my CV is best, everything is perfect. I think leave it at that. I think this is beautiful. Okay, honestly, you move on with the perfection as you deserve. Perfection only the one who is a perfect in every way. And that is Akshay Patra for me at every way. Thank you very much.